The darkness changes. The path phantom. It's dark and stormy night. The sound of thunder and the sight of lightning fill the air. Ruby is sitting on her bed thinking all sorts of problems that are rushing through her head simultaneously. She can't get the thought of how the kids at school kept making fun of her and making her feel inadequate about herself. At first, she is angry, and then she starts crying, wondering if things in her life may ever change for the better. But all she feels in her heart is darkness and a feeling of loneliness and despair. After a few minutes, she stops crying and looks out the window, observing stormy weather again. She sighs and then says to herself, "Well, at least this beautiful storm is here to cheer me up. Sometimes I think you are the only one who gets me. I guess there is no reason to let this storm go to waste. I might as well enjoy it while I can." Ruby glances at the clock in the kitchen and notices it is midnight. She then grabs the umbrella and heads outside, walking slowly down the dark and stormy, isolated street. Reminds her of the reoccurring dream she had the previous nights before. "It's not like I need anybody anyways," Ruby says sadly. After 3 hours of walking, she is finally at the playground by herself and sits on the bench. Ruby then says out loud with a mix of emotions, "I wish there was a person that actually understands me. I'm sick and tired of it just being me, alone. I want everything to change right now." She sits there sobbing for about 30 minutes until the rain stops and she hears someone approaching from behind her. She immediately stops, crying in fear for embarrassment. In front of her emerges this slender young adult man with short hair, and he says to her, "Mind if I sit by you?" Ruby replies while blushing a little, "No, not at all. Please sit." The mysterious young man says to her playfully, "You know, with your face like that, it kind of reminds me of a tomato. Not that that's bad or anything. You're pretty cute. Why don't you tell me about yourself?" Ruby replies happily, "Oh, sure. There's not much to tell, but I am a dark and mysterious girl, and I like the occult and stuff like that. You?" "Oh, God, why did I say that? Now he'll think I'm weird just like everyone else does. At least he is kinda handsome. It was good while it lasted." "Cool. You too? Do you like the Necronomicon?" the mysterious man replied. Ruby feels relieved and says, Yes, I do. It has a very dark aura emanating from it that I like." "Who's your favorite deity from it?" "Mine's Cthulhu." "Finally, someone who gets me." The mysterious man lets out a chuckle and says, "I like Hydra. He is king of the sea and can make it rain whenever he wants. Care for a smoke?" Ruby replies, "Sure." So the mysterious man hands her a cigarette and then starts smoking. Ruby coughs a little bit and thinks to herself, maybe this wasn't such a good idea to smoke. Oh well, I've already started. No sense stopping now. If I do, he might go away, and I need this comfort he gives me. The mysterious man says to her, "Hey, there's this thing I want to show you. Do you want to see it?" Ruby is uncertain what to think, but replies, "Sure." The mysterious man leads her a little ways to a rug by his car in the middle of the woods. "A rug? What's so special about it?" Ruby says in a confused and concerned tone. The mysterious man slowly approaches her from behind with a shovel in his hands, ready to strike. But before he does, the girl in white knocks him out and yells at Ruby, telling her to run! Go home! Quick! Ruby turns around in shock and freaks out. She runs away back to her home, scared and confused. When she finally gets home, she sits down at the kitchen table and starts thinking deeply, questioning what all had just happened. After a few hours, she then resumes being depressed and says in a sad and soft tone, "Just when I thought I found someone who gets me too." She sobs for the rest of the night that is left. Meanwhile, the girl in white kills the mysterious man with the shovel he planned on using to kill Ruby. The girl in white thinks to herself, "Now that I took care of that bad man, there is one more thing I must do to protect those girls." The girl in white walks to Ruby's grandma's house and steps inside. Grandma asks, "Who's there?" After no reply, Grandma then thinks to herself, "It must just be the wind." The girl in white enters Grandma's room and says to her, "You'll pay for what you did to her, to them all, you monster." Grandma reveals herself to be the big bad wolf, but before he could have time to react, the girl in white kills the beast once and for all. Her clothes are drenched in blood. She then proceeds to walk to Ruby and her sister's apartment. Back at the apartment, Ruby's sister Scarlet walks in the kitchen and sees Ruby sitting there sad and says to her, "Are they still being mean to you? You know, if they are, you can tell me and I'll kick their asses if you want." Ruby replies in a happier, yet still sad tone, "It's nothing, sis. I think I'm just gonna sleep right here if you don't mind." Scarlet replies, "Well, okay then. If you need help, you know where to find me." She then goes back to her room to sleep. Ruby rests her head on the table. Behind her, the girl in white smiles and then checks upon the other girls, smiling, thinking to herself, "It's good to know they are safe now. Hopefully things will get better for them from now on." The end.